The 1800s in America were divided into two worlds. In the cities, people were building homes, creating new inventions, and dreaming of progress. But in the fields of the South, millions of African slaves were forced to live their lives in bondage. Among those slaves was a little girl named Araminta Ross, later known as Harriet Tubman. She was born in 1822 on a plantation in Maryland. Her parents were slaves, so from the beginning, her childhood was under the shadow of chains. From a very young age, she worked in the fields. She stood for hours under the burning sun. Her hands were cut, her feet wounded, but the work never stopped. At night, she received only a small portion of food, and in the morning, the same hard labor began again. The most painful part of slavery was the breaking of families. Plantation owners sold slaves whenever they wanted. Harriet saw her own brothers taken away, while her mother cried helplessly. At the age of 12, Harriet was struck on the head by an overseer with a heavy piece of iron. That injury remained with her all her life. She suffered fainting spells, but her determination grew stronger. Every night, when everyone else slept, Harriet looked up at the stars. She dreamed of freedom. She told herself, "One day I will be free. Either I will have freedom or I will die, but I will not live in slavery." In 1849, Harriet escaped. She fled the plantation at night, following the North Star. She walked through forests, swamps, and rivers, always afraid of slave catchers. After a long and dangerous journey, she reached Pennsylvania. For the first time in her life, she breathed as a free woman. But freedom alone was not enough. Her family was still in chains. She said to herself, "I will go back. I will bring them out." Harriet joined the secret network called the Underground Railroad. It was not a real train, but a system of safe houses, churches, and farms that sheltered runaway slaves. Harriet became one of its bravest guides. Again and again, she returned to the South, risking her life to rescue others. She traveled mostly at night. She carried no weapon, but carried courage and faith. She sang coded songs to send messages. She used secret paths, rivers, and swamps to escape. Sometimes she gave medicine to babies so they would not cry during the journey. Step by step, group by group, she brought people to freedom. She freed her brothers, her parents, and many strangers. Soon, people called her Moses, because, like the prophet, she led her people to freedom. The danger was constant. Slave catchers searched for her. Posters offered rewards for her capture. But Harriet never gave up. She once said, "I never ran my train off the track." I never lost a single passenger. When the Civil War broke out in 1861, Harriet joined the Union Army. At first, she worked as a nurse for wounded soldiers. Later, she became a scout and spy. She guided Union troops through dangerous terrain. In one mission, she helped free more than 700 slaves in South Carolina. It was one of the largest rescues of the war. After the war ended and slavery was abolished, Harriet continued to serve others. She cared for orphans, poor people, and former slaves. She opened a home for the elderly and lived a simple, humble life, often in poverty, but always giving whatever she had. Harriet Tubman died in 1913 at about the age of 91. Her last words were, "I go to prepare a place for you." She had freed hundreds of slaves and inspired thousands more. Her story became a symbol of courage, sacrifice, and freedom. In American history, she is remembered not as a ruler or a wealthy person, but as a woman who carried hope through the darkest nights and gave light to those who had none.